Hey guys, today I'm going to be reviewing House of the Dragon, Season 2, Episode 7, The Red Sowing. You know what this episode should have really been called? Yeah guys, this episode should have just simply been called Fuck It. Seriously, I just loved this episode so much, and I feel like Fuck It just embodies the very essence and nature of this episode in particular. Everybody's like, screw it. It's war. It's all out war. We need to do what we need to do in order to win this thing, and if we gotta kill a ton of people, so be it. So yeah, I think Fuck It should have been the title of this episode, let's be real. But yeah, The Red Sowing, an interesting title. When I refreshed HBO Max and I saw the title, I was like, well, okay, that's not the most exciting of titles, but we'll go with it. Instead, it just made me think of The Red Wedding. But yeah, you guys, wow, what an incredible episode. I just freaking enjoyed it immensely. Again, there's definitely those slower elements in there, and I have said repeatedly, the slower episodes have not been bugging me or bothering me whatsoever. I love people sitting around and chit-chatting and gossiping and causing chaos, sitting around tables. So yeah, we definitely still have our fair share of slower elements in this episode, but yeah, we do get the big huge climax of the episode, which is all of the Targaryen bastards finally coming together, and who is going to get a dragon. And I think Aemond might be a little afraid, you guys. Oh, and yeah, my favorite character, Aemond. My god, he has a fight ahead of him, yes. I'm excited. So, enough of me rambling away. Before I do get started into this review, there's definitely going to be spoilers aplenty in this video, but that being said, I am a non-book reader of the source material that this show is based off of, so I don't plan on having any sort of book-related spoilers if that's something that you're worried about, because I know there's a lot of people kind of in my position that haven't read the book and you don't really want to know what's going on. So yeah, let's get going, you guys. Starting from the top, obviously, we have a huge standoff on the beach with Rhaenyra and Adam. Yes, we have our dragons on either end, and Adam and Rhaenyra right there in the middle, and predictably so, Rhaenyra is not too happy that someone has taken one of her dragons. And lo and behold, it's a complete stranger. Again, what has been kind of repeated over these last couple episodes so far is kind of Rhaenyra's, how would you describe it? Her obsession, I suppose? Rhaenyra's obsession with Targaryen purity, if you will, and that only a true Targaryen can ride a dragon and whatnot. And that is the big, huge thing of this episode, is Rhaenyra kind of having to come to terms and peace with that it's not just highborn Targaryens that can get on these dragons. It can be lowborn Targaryens as well, as we see as all of the bastard Targaryens that are all over King's Landing finally come together. So yeah, as I said, predictably so, Rhaenyra's she's a little bit angry and upset that someone lowborn has taken a dragon. And at the start, I definitely loved her hesitancy, you know, because we have spent all this time with Adam, and we know that Adam is a good guy, but yet Rhaenyra has no idea, because clearly Corlys has not talked about his bastard children. So I like how she's kind of trying to kind of edge into this conversation, you know, like, whose side are you on? Who do you pledge allegiance to? Because I think even last week ended, her and Mysaria were like, oh, do you think it's someone who's Team Green who's coming to get the dragon, you know? So Adam very quickly, you know, he doesn't beat around the bush here. He knows he needs to bend the knee, and he needs to bend it quickly, and he pledges his allegiance to Team Black. And yeah, he's very open, like, hey, this dragon came to me. I didn't come to this dragon. He sought me out, and I would love to train the ways of dragon riding, if you will teach me, please. And yeah, Rhaenyra is asking him at one point, well, who is your father? Again, her obsession with that Targaryen purity. And Adam, he just says, you know, I had my mother, but yeah, he does not mention Corlys at all, you guys, which I find so interesting. I'm very curious if in the finale, I don't know if it'll happen in the finale, or if it might happen maybe next season, who knows, but I'm just really curious if Adam and Alan's parentage is going to be revealed, because we, the audience, are way more privy to their parentage than everybody else. So yeah, are either of them going to mention anything about Corlys? Is Corlys going to mention anything? Because Rhaenys clearly knew. You know, Rhaenys was not ignorant. She was totally like, hey, I know what you did. I know who these children are, you know. So I am very curious about Corlys's, where he's going to kind of come into all of this. And I mean, Rhaenyra doesn't seem to be too pissed off about it, you know? I mean, if they would just open up and be like, hey, yeah, Corlys Velaryon, he's our dad. I don't think she's going to go too rough on Corlys, you know? There's no reason to punish him for this at all. So we move over to King's Landing, and we see that Maester Orwyle is tending to Alicent's wound. And as we all, I think, noticed at last week's episode, that cut on her arm was in the exact same location where she cut Rhaenyra, you know, all those years ago after the incident with Aemond's eye and whatnot. And I think it's supposed to be kind of obvious too that that's what Alicent is thinking about as well. Just she's been in a very reflective mood, I think, since last week, and then continued into this week. She's in a very, very highly reflective, melancholic mood. I think verging into depression, it seems like, because I was seriously a little concerned that Alicent was like going to commit suicide at one point in this episode, you guys. Jesus Christ. And yeah, I think she's kind of seeing that cut on her arm, and not only is it reflecting on when she hurt Rhaenyra, but just it's a reflection on the state of King's Landing at the moment, the state of her family, the state of her sons, and she has been kicked off of the small council. What is her role? What is her purpose? What is her function anymore? She is completely adrift at the moment. And yeah, Alicent's scenes in this whole episode, they're very quick and short, but I think there's just so much depth and meaningfulness to her scenes. And you know what? I guess I'll go ahead and just talk about Alicent's scenes here, since they are so short, because I don't want to sit here and kind of talk about everything else and then kind of inject like Alicent's scenes in there when they are so short. So I guess I'll just go ahead and just tie in all of Alicent's scenes. So yeah, kind of going back to Maester Orwyle tending to her wound, and they're just sitting there talking, you know, and she does mention at some point, nothing is clean here. And it zooms out and we see like a rat on a table, it looks like, and it's like munching away on something, I think is what it was doing. So nothing is clean here. It's both like literal, it's like literal things are not clean, but also like metaphorically things are not clean. The state of the castle, it seems like the state of the castle is very dirty, because I have a feeling a lot of the small folk have gotten out of the castle. You know, I feel like they don't have a lot of their household staff like they tend to. So it seems like there's a little bit of disrepair in the castle itself. So there's nothing clean in the castle. So that's a literal nothing is clean. And then yeah, just the metaphorical nothing is clean here. Her family, you know, her family is just so deeply tainted and disgusting at this point. So we do see Alicent, she goes to Sir Rickard, played by Vincent Regan. I'm just so glad we finally got to see like Vincent Regan in the face of this week, you guys, and he actually had some lines of dialogue. I was complaining last week that for the love of God they cast the great actor Vincent Regan and they haven't done shit with him all season. So I was really disappointed with kind of his role last week. They didn't do much with him, so I'm glad they did a little bit more with him this week. Seriously, look at Vincent Regan's IMDb page. I'm sure there is something you have seen him in, because he's in so many things. So anyway, Alicent goes to Sir Rickard and she orders him to follow her away from King's Landing. They're getting the hell out of there. So we get our first scene with Alicent, and she's out there in the woods with Sir Rickard, and it looks like he's kind of stripped down and just kind of his basic clothing, and he's like trying to make some food and start a fire, it looks like. You know, this seems very dangerous. Did anybody feel like this was a rather dangerous thing to do, like them just out there in the forest where there could be some brigands and rapists out there, God knows, you know, black supporters, who knows? I was a little worried they were going to get ambushed by some crazy person in the woods. Sir Rickard is asking, he's even pitched her up a tent, you know, you guys, he's even pitched her up this nice little makeshift tent, and he's asking her, hey, are we planning on going back to King's Landing, you know, today, tomorrow? And Alicent just responds back, I'm not certain if we're going back. So I did. I love that. Just her nonchalance, like, yeah, we're just gonna chill out here in the woods, dude. And you can definitely tell Sir Rickard looks a little concerned when she goes into the tent and tells him good night. You know, he seems a little concerned, like, oh, this doesn't seem good. So then the last scene with Alicent that we have, it's her, and she's going out there by the lake, and she strips down to just her shift that's underneath her gown, and she just swims out there into the middle of the lake and just lies there on her back, facing up, looking up at the sky. And this whole sequence, I found it to be really just beautiful and pure and calm and quiet, because every time we see Alicent, there's just always chaos, you know, whether there's physical chaos, you know, like a riot that's happening around her, or just, you know, smaller chaotic things where she's just sitting around a table and things are just crashing around all around her, you know. So I love the calm and the peace and just the beauty of this scene, and it's so sad and lonely, you know. And I love Alicent as a character, you guys. She's a hypocrite, and she's lied, and she's a hot mess. Alicent is a hot mess of a character, but it's like I love her for those things, because it makes her such a raw and honest, true, believable character, you know. So I really have felt for Alicent all season, because this is the mess she has made, you know. And it's too late, as she told Rhaenyra back in, you know, what was it, episode 3? It's just too late. It's too late to turn back the clock and fix anything. So I love this calm moment with Alicent in the lake, and it's very reminiscent of, you know, we've had a lot of scenes with her in the bath. It's like Alicent has this connection and tie with water. Water has this soothing, calming effect on her, and yeah, here she is out in this big, huge lake. And seriously, I thought she was going to commit suicide for a minute, you guys. I was like, oh, dear God, no. But fortunately, it didn't go in that direction. So yeah, that is it for Alicent in this episode. Just really quick, minor scenes, but I love the kind of the beauty and purity of the scenes compared to kind of all the other craziness going on in the episode. So let's go back up to the beginning of the episode in some ways, after I got through Alicent there. We get this really great scene, you guys, with Larys and Lord Jasper, and oh, seriously, I love this. It was really nice to see more of Lord Jasper, because he's kind of one of those other members on the small council. I feel like every time we see him, he's just at the table. I feel like we've never gotten to see him out and about doing things, you know. So I love this scene of Larys and Lord Jasper, and they're up there on the battlements, and they're watching as Aemond is sending away some of the guards who caused the riot in last week's episode. Yeah, because Sir Rickard and Alicent were telling them to put their swords back. And the thing is, out of fear and terror, which I totally understand, you know, out of fear and terror, these guys who are just so ill-equipped and so incompetent, they were afraid, and they pulled out the swords, and, you know, they started fighting against the small folk, and yeah, they chopped off the arm of the one guy, you know. Yeah, it just goes to show that Aegon was just, you know, he was buddies with these guys, and like, I'm just gonna throw in my friends to be my guards, you know. There's no real serious duty here. And yeah, being part of the Kingsguard, it's a serious commitment, and nobody in his Kingsguard was taking it seriously, you know. So yeah, when they do face a crisis like they did last week, it falls apart, and it fell apart rapidly. It escalated so quickly. So yeah, Aemond is sending out a couple of the guys. They showed them really quickly. It looked like two of Aegon's buddies to me, and because I wasn't sure who lived and died last week, because it looked like they all got chopped down except for Sir Rickard. So yeah, Aemond is sending the two of them to the wall, which I am so surprised about, you guys. I'm really surprised by his mercy, I guess, because knowing Aemond, I would have fully expected him to just chop off their heads, you know, like my mother and my sister about died, and you about caused it, you know. So I'm really surprised that he didn't just behead those two guys. Instead, he sent them to the wall, which is very curious, you know. I'm curious why the alternative of the wall rather than just beheading them, you know. I guess it's Aemond. It's Aemond trying to have some sort of control, I think, without being rash and irrational. You know, I think he's trying at least. So, as I said, Larys and Lord Jasper, they're watching this whole thing play out. The guy's going to the wall, and Aemond is down there, like, stripping them of their cloaks and whatnot. You know what? I guess that's another thing, stripping them of their cloaks. It's about the humility. You know, now that I think about it, okay, let me rewind here. I think that's what it really is. It's about the humility. I think Aemond, the easy approach Aemond could do is to behead somebody, you know? But it's the humiliation. Aemond has been humiliated for years by his brother and his friends, and this is kind of his way of pushing that humiliation forward, I think, which is really fascinating. Like, yeah, I'm not going to give you the easy way out and just kill you. So now that I think about it in hindsight, I really like that. That makes sense to me, why he's sending them to the wall now, rather than straight up killing them. I like that. So while they're watching this whole thing play out, Jasper mentions to Larys that Sea Smoke has got a new rider. Who is it? And at first they're initially wondering if it's Rhaena. But then they're like, no, it can't be Rhaena. And Jasper is wondering if they should even tell Aemond about this other, about this whole thing, you know, about Sea Smoke and a new rider. And also, I think because they have been hearing rumors of a dragon in the Vale, you know, I think they're wondering if they should even mention this to Aemond. And Larys is like, no, let's not bother him with this. And as we know, Larys got his own humiliation last week when Aemond called him a toad and forbade him the hand of the kingpin. Because really, they probably should have told Aemond about these new dragons up and about to prepare him. Because we see how the episode ends. Obviously, we'll get there. Because Aemond is shocked beyond belief when he reaches Dragonstone. So yeah, we end that scene. We go to the Black Council. And they are hearing news of Sea Smoke and the new rider. And they do know that the rider does work under Corlys's employ. And I like kind of that look that passes over Corlys's face, because I think he's kind of wondering, oh, is it one of my bastard children? You know, I think that thought immediately kind of comes to him. And Jace and some of the members of the council are definitely really upset about this whole thing. You know, again, the whole thing of Targaryen purity. So they're upset that Rhaenyra's out there with this guy whose allegiances they feel are up and down. You know, we don't know if this guy is for our side or not. And I had a feeling, no, even though Jace wasn't saying much of anything in the scene, I just knew immediately what Jace was thinking because of his own bastard status, you know, which we'll get to that conversation in a bit. And yeah, also the thing too, you know, Rhaenyra is not here at the moment. Once again, at this small council scene, they're all having to deal with all this, and she's out kind of dealing with this other thing. You know, she's not here to help explain things and tidy things up with this new rider, you know. So there's a lot going on in that little quick scene. So then we move to Rhaenyra and Mysaria. And Rhaenyra, she is, once again, her whole obsession with Targaryen purity, and she's still kind of questioning the whole thing of, well, how does a dragon bond with us? How much of the Targaryen blood has to be in there exactly? Because we know that Sir Steffon Darklyn had some in him, so why didn't it work on him, but it's working on this guy over here, you know? And she thinks that her answers are going to be in the library, you know? She starts to look on the shelf like that's going to solve all her problems, and Mysaria kind of giggles off to the side, and Rhaenyra's like, what are you laughing at? And Mysaria is telling her that, you know, it's pointless. Stop searching. There's no point. And that's when she starts mentioning the whole thing, you know, highborn versus lowborn, that you all have been so obsessed with highborn Targaryens getting these dragons, but you have forgotten about the, how does she word it, the misbegotten offspring. You have forgotten about the misbegotten offspring of all of the Targaryens over the past several decades. The fact that all of you have had bastards over time, and there's a lot of you out there. And Rhaenyra is still kind of hung up on the whole thing, you know, highborn versus lowborn. Highborn being much more honor-bound and a sense of duty and all that. And Mysaria, very rightfully so, kind of brings up, well, Aegon and Aemond, they're your brothers, they're Targaryens, but they seem to have no honor, and look what they've been doing, you know? And yeah, kind of the whole thing, Adam has more honor than Aegon and Aemond seem to have, weirdly enough. So Mysaria is straight up telling Rhaenyra, hey, things are changing, and you need to embrace it. And I think that's kind of that's the whole point of this season, in a sense. I think if you had to kind of sum up this season, I think that's kind of it. Things are changing, embrace it. And I love this last bit of dialogue that Rhaenyra says here, because she starts talking about, you know, my children were insulted for years and they were called bastards, and it's like she's still not going to call them bastards. You know, Rhaenyra, she's still kind of holding on to the thing they are rightful heirs. They're not bastards, you know. And she says, let us raise up an army of bastards. Yes. Yes, go queen. So we move from that scene into a really quick scene with Corlys and Adam. And, God, these scenes with Corlys and his sons, his bastard sons, they're always so quick and short, you guys. And I feel like Corlys never really gets that much to do. But still, it was a nice scene because Corlys does make that attempt to go see Adam. And he does say to him, well done, and he leaves. He just leaves really quickly, like he's embarrassed to give him, like, a sense of pride, you know, like, I'm proud of you, goodbye, well done. Adam, it seems like Adam really appreciates it, though, because we got the sense last week when Adam and Alan were talking, that it seems like Corlys has kind of been a bit more comfortable around Alan for some stupid reason, but he kind of ignores Adam, again, for some stupid reason. And Adam has definitely felt that he feels like Alan's getting the attention and he's not. So now he has attention from Corlys. So let's move to Harrenhal, you guys. I loved all of this stuff with Harrenhal. It was so good, so intense. And yeah, we only get one dream sequence this week, which I loved. Seriously, a lot of people have not been enjoying the Harrenhal stuff this season. And again, is it just me? It's just not bothering me. You guys, maybe I'm just a very highly lenient person. I've been enjoying the Harrenhal stuff. I've been liking all the creepy, spooky dreams. So we have the arrival of the River Lords at Harrenhal, and Oscar Tully, now that Grover Tully is dead, Oscar Tully is now in charge. He's the Lord Paramount of the Riverlands, I guess is how it all plays out. And yeah, to Daemon, Oscar Tully is useful now because he was having issues trying to get the Tullys to his side. And remember, he wanted poor, innocent, sweet Oscar Tully to put a pillow over his grandsire's face and suffocate him so he can end his death quicker. You know, and Oscar was like, that's my grandfather, how dare you? So now that Grover Tully is out of the picture, Oscar Tully to Daemon is way more useful to him. And Oscar, I loved little sweet precious Oscar Tully in this episode because he really stands his own ground with Daemon in this particular episode. He's not cowed down by Daemon, you know. Daemon is a menacing, threatening presence. He's so intimidating. Let's be real. When Matt Smith's in there like looming over you, it can be intimidating. And yeah, Oscar Tully, he's always in a position of looking up at Daemon, you know. Daemon always makes a point of standing really close to him and looking down at him. And Oscar Tully, you gotta definitely give it to him. He definitely does not let himself get intimidated. He's always constantly kind of staring eye to eye with Daemon and letting him know what's up, you know, like, hey, I'm insulted that you find me useful now. And he expresses very clearly to Daemon, hey, after what Will and Blackwood did, you know, all the war crimes out in the Riverlands, the River Lords are pissed, obviously so. And Oscar, he's not sure if he can get the River Lords to all come together to try and support Daemon at this point. They all hate you, is what he wonderfully says. I loved it. And Daemon responds back, I don't need their love, I need their swords. Daemon is just so black and white about stuff. You know, he's very black and white about things. And I think it frustrates him and irritates him when other people are not the same as him. That's kind of the thing. He thinks bygones should just be bygones. And that's not how other people roll in this universe. So when we reach outside by the weirwood tree and all that, I loved how this whole thing was staged and presented. They're out there by the tree, which is great. And the River Lords, they're all kind of bickering back and forth, and yeah, do they follow Oscar now? And Oscar's, you know, trying to explain where his position's at, and the River Lords all want justice for what was done, you know, out on their lands and whatnot, and what Daemon caused. And again, Oscar Tully really taking the lead here. for such a young man, he's really proving his worth and his mettle to all of these people. So I loved what was going on here. And Oscar just, once again, standing there, having to look up at Damon and saying, hey, if you want me and all these other people to follow you, we demand justice, and we think you should kill Willem Blackwood. And of course, Willem Blackwood, I think he feels untouchable. Like, my king ordered me to do this. He's not going to kill me. And Damon being so desperate, being so desperate to get an army, essentially, and he's been failing miserably thus far. We do see him, it looks like he chops off Willem Blackwood. It looks like he chops off Willem Blackwood's head, you guys. I kind of covered my eyes. I didn't really see the act if the head did fall off, you guys. I have a rough time watching beheadings, okay? I can't watch people's heads getting knocked off. So if the head actually got physically thrown off, let me know, because I covered my eyes, like I said, so I'm assuming the head got chopped off. Seriously, Willem Blackwood, guys, he was good looking. Seriously, I'm shallow. I'm so vain and shallow. I love a good looking man, a good looking British man. Willem Blackwood, alas. And he was such a nice boy. He was such a nice boy, back in the day when he was trying to court Rhaenyra. So we have one final dream at Harrenhal, you guys. Unless for some reason we get another dream. I feel like the dreams are over. I don't know. We could possibly get another random sequence next week. I'm curious, but this one did almost feel final, so I'm curious if this was it. So I liked how this whole thing was staged, because a lot of times it's very obvious when we're in one of Damon's dreams, and I feel like this time it wasn't so obvious. We see Damon, because it almost seems like Damon is just coming back from the weirwood tree, so we see him walking through the hall, and we see that goat again, or that ram. We see that random black ram again, you guys. And he passes that, he goes into his bedroom, and sitting on his bed is Viserys. And again, it's not so obvious it's a dream. We know it's a dream because of Viserys being there, but it's not so very obvious. It just seems like it's real. And Daemon walks into his bedroom, and every time we've seen Daemon have one of his dreams, he's always kind of walking around in his dreams in terror and in a panic, and he's very reluctant to kind of like move forward. Like last week, for instance, the scene with Viserys and the throne. Like, he was very reluctant to keep walking towards the throne and having to listen to that conversation on repeat, that he had with Viserys back in season 1. So I liked how Daemon, it's like he's so exhausted, and he's so done with Harrenhal at this point, and he's so exhausted by these dreams. And I like just kind of Matt Smith's body language as he's kind of walking through this scene and getting up there to the bed, because there's no reluctance there. It's like there's kind of this weird acceptance that Daemon has now, like, this is my life now. These dreams are part of my life. I need to stop fighting them. That's just it. He needs to stop fighting the dreams, and yet he's kind of embracing and accepting the dream in this situation, it feels like, as he goes to sit by Viserys. And so there's Viserys, and not healthy looking Viserys, but Viserys who is there at the end of his life, falling apart, missing an eye, all of his hair gone. He's a big, huge, hot mess, and he's holding the crown. And Viserys is speaking, saying, the crown crushes whoever wears it, and you want it still. And we don't hear Daemon's response. We just see kind of this look of confusion and concern on Daemon's face, and I think it's been very well established. Daemon is all talk. He'll sit and threaten, hey, I'll go take the Iron Throne, and Rhaenyra can come sit by me if she wants. Daemon is always a lot of talk, that he wants the throne and he wants the crown, but really I don't think he does. I don't think Daemon wants it at all. I mean, several episodes ago, when they were talking about Grover Tully being ill, and people kind of being all over the place with their allegiances with Grover Tully, and Daemon was saying, no matter the state of one's liege lord, you need to support him no matter what. And that was Daemon's attitude towards Viserys. That as Viserys was getting ill and falling apart and dying, Daemon was always still constantly by Viserys' side and supporting him. So no, I don't think Daemon really wants it. I think there's a part of him that he does, but in reality, he really doesn't. He doesn't really want all that comes with it. So we move to Maester Orwyle, and he's trying his best to have some physical therapy for poor Aegon. Yeah, guys, my God, you know, Maester Orwyle is the clear MVP of this particular episode. He is the hardest working man in King's Landing. Yay, Maester Orwyle. And yeah, he's attempting to do some sort of physical therapy with Aegon, trying to get him to move around. You know, Aegon's been in bed for probably a couple weeks at this point. I'm not quite sure how much time has gone by, but he's probably been in bed for a couple weeks now, and he's probably stiff and achy, and his broken leg, obviously. He's a mess. So he's trying to get him to move around and work out the kinks and whatnot. But yeah, poor Aegon, he's in agony, you guys. He's in absolute agony. He's yelling and screaming and crying. It's painful to watch. And in comes Larys, who's like, hey, hold up, we need to stop this. Stop doing it. You're pushing him. Even though it was under Larys's orders, apparently, to push Aegon. But I think it should only be going so far, I think, is what Larys wants. You know, like, we need to kind of boost it up and up and up, little by little. And another really, like, oddly weird, sweet moment between Aegon and Larys, you guys, because, you know, Larys himself can barely even freaking walk, and he gets on the other side of Aegon and helps Maester Orwyle take Aegon back over to the bed and get him in bed. Seriously, I'm totally here, weirdly enough, you guys, for the Aegon and Larys bromance. It's kind of great. I love it. Who would have thought in season 2 I'd be sitting here going, man, I love the bromance between Larys and Aegon. Who would have thought I would be saying that right now? I feel like such a weirdo. Seriously, for the love of God, Aegon, don't take off your shoes, okay? Leave your shoes on and you'll be okay. And I really genuinely feel like Larys is trying to help and support Aegon, you guys, especially after his humiliation with Aemond last week's episode. Larys has a lot more to gain, I think, with Aegon in charge, because with Aemond, Larys can't bullshit Aemond. Aemond is way too smart and intelligent, and he knows what a toad Larys is and what a manipulator and how conniving he is. Aemond knows that Larys is jockeying for power at all times. So, yeah, Aegon is a little bit more easy to control, you know? So, Larys, it's definitely much more in Larys' best interest to get Aegon back on the throne as soon as possible. But, yeah, I do think he is much more genuine about it, you know? I don't know. We'll have to see. We'll have to see where Larys' endgame is. So, we move to Corlys and Alan this time, and Corlys is just reminding Alan, hey, I need you to go to so-and-so, get a message, because you're going to be taking this message to wherever. And yeah, we kind of see that play out in a bit with the message. And Corlys tells Alan about Adam claiming sea smoke. And I love kind of that look that passed over Alan's face, because he was like, what? My brother? Really? Seriously? Corlys is saying that he knew little of Alan and Adam's mother's heritage. Once again, they're still questioning the whole thing of how much Targaryen is in somebody, you know? And I love this line of dialogue right here, because Alan is saying, you know, Adam has always been restless. He's always wanted more. And he responds, I am salt and sea. I yearn for nothing else. Because I think Corlys was almost trying to kind of slide in there. Hey, how about you go see if you can get on a dragon? Yeah, I am not quite sure if Alan is going to get a dragon, you guys, or if it's just Adam who gets a dragon. But yeah, that is interesting, that he says, I am salt and sea, because what did Bela say just a few episodes ago to Corlys? She said she was fire and blood, because he was offering the Driftmark throne to her, and she's like, no, it needs to go to somebody else. So I think this is going to get the cogs twirling in Corlys's mind, you know, I am salt and sea. Hey, this guy right here should be the heir to Driftmark. And again, the whole thing of things are changing, embrace it. I think Corlys is going to have to do that too. You know, now that these lowborn people have their own sense of power and their blood, the blood that's kind of coursing through their veins, you know, it doesn't make them less, you know, just because they're in poverty, it doesn't make them less and less important. So I think that's going to get Corlys thinking, you know, I need to change my ways as well, and let my bastard son rule Driftmark, you know. So I guess we'll see how that goes. vibes. We move on. We get a quick scene of Rhaena and Rhaenyra's children. They are departing the Vale, and Lady Jane Eyre is watching them go, and she seems so pissed off. Is it just me? She seems like such an angry, pissed off lady. It's like she wanted the dragons and she didn't get them. You know, it's like she's still really angry and bitter about that. And as they are departing, Rhaena just kind of takes off really quickly, and she goes over to the burnt field because we know that there's some big giant dragon circling around the Vale. And the scene kind of just weirdly stops and ends there, and we never go back to it in this episode, you guys. So the season finale next week, are we going to get a big shocking surprise when things are kind of maybe going downhill, and all of a sudden here comes Rhaena with a dragon just out of nowhere and helps Team Black win the fight? I'm very, very curious if that's going to happen, you guys. So yeah, yay or nay, Rhaena on a dragon in the finale, or is that going to happen next season? Let's see. Okay, so we move to the big confrontation scene with Jace and Rhaenyra, yeah, guys, and it all comes out. All of this, just, I don't know, frustration and anger that Jace has within him, and finally kind of blurting out the whole thing of, you know, am I the bastard child of Harwin Strong? You know, because I think Jace has always known, but Rhaenyra has never point blank told him that, you know, and I think he just wants to hear the words. I think he just wants to hear her say, Harwin Strong is your father. You know, I think he just wants her to just downright say it and just let it be, you know. And I think that just frustrates him more that she just never point blank says it. And Jace starts accusing Mysaria, saying, is it her fault that all this is happening? Because the lowborn are claiming dragons now, because he knows very well that Mysaria supports the small folk. So he's wondering if she's been in Rhaenyra's ear, and they're saying stuff, you know, trying to push the power on the small folk. And he calls them mongrels. Yeah, guys, he calls the small folk mongrels. Oh, and he's supposed to be the future heir, and he shouldn't be calling his people that. I think it's just in a fit of anger and frustration. You know, it's in a fit of anger and frustration. Jace just feeling just so out and down, and not. He's starting to question his own. I think his own future. You know, his own role, because he knows good and well that he's a bastard. You know, and it's only through Rhaenyra pushing the whole thing of, hey, you're going to be my heir when I die, and now it's all put. It's just a question for him now, because somebody else, another Targaryen bastard, can just come in and push me away at any moment, and I might not have no power to stop that, you know, because I'm a bastard myself too. So yeah, poor Jace. Oh, you guys, I loved. Is it Harry Courtlet? Is that his name? Harry Courtlet? I think that's his name. I really loved his acting in this scene, and he's struggling not to cry. You know, he's trying to be a grown ass man in this moment, trying to confront his mother, but at the same time he's hurt and he feels betrayed. You know, oh, seriously, I love this moment. Poor Jace leaves this whole conversation, his claim, in jeopardy. It's pretty devastating. So then we get kind of this montage of a scene here. It kind of goes off for several minutes, and we see Mysaria hand Alan the message that's going to be sent to King's Landing, and we see that this message is being passed around. We see that news and information is being passed around, because once again, they don't have text messages and nightly news in King's Landing, you know. So, you know, it's through gossip and talk that people have to spread this message around. And we see that the small folk are now, they're all departing King's Landing, because essentially we get the idea of what Rhaenyra has just posted in this message. She's calling for anybody who believes that they have Targaryen blood in their veins, you know, if they're a Targaryen bastard, hey, come to Dragonstone, see if you can claim a dragon. So this news obviously gets to Ulf, and there he is again at the bar, and his buddies are around him saying, hey, you've always told us you're a Targaryen bastard, why don't you go to Dragonstone and help out Rhaenyra? And it's in this moment that Ulf, he just freezes, because it's kind of revealed now that Ulf has really never 100% knew if he was a Targaryen bastard. He has always kind of been very bold in saying that he is, and that's kind of just it. He's always just tried to use that to make more of himself, like he's much more powerful and meaningful and great than what he is, you know, trying to rise above his station almost and get others to like him. You know, he's used it as a means of people liking him. And now that this is coming out, it's like, well, I'm not quite sure, you guys. It could have all been a lie that was told to me for all I know. So then we move to Hugh, and you guys, Hugh's daughter is dead. We didn't even get to see her die. She just died tragically off screen. It's terrible. Poor girl didn't get no food or medicine. God damn. So his daughter died off screen, which I'm kind of surprised that they did that off screen. And the message has gotten around to Hugh, and so it does. Hugh has always known he's some sort of Targaryen bastard, and because my understanding, he's making it sound like his mother was like an aunt to Viserys and Daemon. Do I have that correct? How he was kind of wording it, that his mother would be some sort of aunt to them. I had to look up like articles about this woman, because there were already a lot of like theory and speculation about who Hugh's mother is, and a lot of people who are just much more familiar with Targaryen lore, you know, having read like the Fire and Blood book and whatnot. A lot of people have kind of pointed it down to who they think Hugh's mother is. Like, she was like a Targaryen princess, like a rebel Targaryen princess, and she became like a courtesan or something. So that would be how Hugh was produced. So that's kind of my understanding of the Hugh thing right now. I'll have to kind of look more into that. So yeah, Hugh wants to go to Dragonstone. He wants to make this attempt, because what else is there? You know, their daughter is dead. Here they are just suffering in King's Landing. And he's telling Cat, you know, if I can claim a dragon, we will get honor and riches, you know, things that we have never imagined, because we will be part of Team Black now, and Rhaenyra will raise us up and give us status and position. Which I guess she would, you know, if you're a dragon rider, she can't just keep her dragon riders in poverty. I would imagine, you know, she would have to raise them up in station and status. So Hugh, it's not only for himself to do this, but it's also just for Cat, for the rest of the family, you know, their extended family, I suppose, you know, even though they don't have a daughter, but, you know, Cat has a family. So yeah, he's doing this for their family, to raise them, to help possibly raise them out of this poverty, because what else do they have at this moment? And Cat's like, I don't want to be a lady. I don't care about being a lady, because if you died, then I'm a widow, and that would be worse, you know? So I definitely understand Cat's position in this whole thing too. She just lost her daughter. What's the point of losing her husband at this point too, you know? Okay, so we move into the bastards arriving at Dragonstone, you guys, and I love kind of that procession, because you have the occasional dark-haired person in there, but for the most part, a lot of them do have the white hair, which is interesting. So they're all arriving at Dragonstone, and oh boy, the dragon trainers, you guys, they are having none of it. They are pissed beyond belief. They are so angry, and they call this whole situation, they call it an abomination. And I love how they're just sitting there speaking right there in front of all the people. They're just sitting there speaking in High Valyrian to Rhaenyra, and she's responding back to them in High Valyrian, and they're just having this really angry, hateful conversation. And yeah, the dragon riders, they're done. They did not sign up for this, because I think to the dragon trainers, their calling, it's almost cult-like, you know, their calling is almost cult-like, and this is sacred, you know. Riding a dragon, communicating with a dragon, and bonding with a dragon is something that is so sacred that no one really entirely knows how it works, you know. And yeah, their taming of dragons is so sacred. So I kind of understand their point of view, almost like you're just bringing all of these people in here now. And, you know, a dragon is not like some trained horse that you can just command, you know, and hop on, you know. So yeah, the dragon trainers are just out of there. Yeah, guys, there they go. So Rhaenyra, after everyone kind of witnesses this whole thing, she just kind of goes into the next room and talks to all of the bastard Targaryens. I've seen a lot of people talk about this scene in particular, because it's Rhaenyra almost having this, you can almost see this scene as almost this god complex that Rhaenyra is having, you know, and this is like her cult of followers that have come to her, and she's trying to make it sound like, oh, riding a dragon is a great thing, you know, you get honor and status and privilege and all of this, you know, you should think really highly and greatly of yourself if you claim a dragon, you know. So there is almost this cult-like vibe to the scene, which I absolutely loved. Rhaenyra really put in this this mystery and enigma on riding dragons. And she's going into the conversation, talking to the crowd, kind of really being there amongst them. You know, because the one guy, he's prepared to follow behind her just in case someone tries to kill her, you know, but she holds him back, and she really gets there in amidst the people and up close. You know, she really gets up close to them and staring them in the faces, talking to them individually, you know, which makes her a good leader. You know, that's effective leadership. And she's telling them, you know, all of you have left behind a life. Getting a dragon, you could either face death or transformation. Again, this whole thing of greatness, you know, becoming a rider. It's definitely going to transform you in some way. And she's saying some of you might welcome this change, you know, get away from your old life, because back in your old life you had poverty, you had starvation, you had disease, you had war. This may be a better option for you, even if you do die. And again, kind of Rhaenyra doing this cult-like sort of thing and telling them, hey, if you can claim a dragon, this is going to be a way for us to restore peace, hopefully, and maybe perhaps avoid bloodshed, which I find really ignorant of her to say, because just because she's going to get a couple of new dragon riders here, the point of her getting new dragon riders is because they need to continue this war, and they do need to win it, and that is going to require blood. So I find it a little silly of her to sit and say, oh, hopefully we can avoid bloodshed if you guys get on dragons. And then she ends the conversation saying, may the gods bless you. Seriously, I thought she was about to say, may the gods be ever in your favor. So they all depart this room, and they're just heading straight to the dragon pit area, you guys. They're just heading there immediately. No ifs, ands, or buts about it. Y'all just got here. We're going there right now. Follow me. So they go to that little dragon pit area, you know, where Sir Stefan Darglin tragically passed, and she calls forth Vermithor, you guys, which was so great. Oh my god, because the whole room is vibrating. It's vibrating, and Vermithor just comes out of the darkness. It's like, where the hell does Vermithor come from? Because off kind of in the corner where it's a little bit lighter, you start to see the silhouette of his wing. And yeah, Vermithor just comes out of nowhere. You guys, it's absolutely terrifying, but like glorious at the same time, you know, just how massive he is. And like Rhaenyra said, Vhagar, she is still the biggest dragon, but yeah, Vermithor is right up there. He may be a itty bitty bit smaller, but still, this is the dragon that they need out there fighting against Vhagar, you guys. So, Vermithor, someone does approach Vermithor. Someone has to be the first. Vermithor ain't having it. Vermithor just starts burning shit down, you guys, and all hell and all chaos breaks loose. And what proceeds from this point, you guys, is just such a wildly spectacular scene that is both thrilling and terrifying all at the same time. People are just on fire all over the place. People are getting ate. People are getting stepped on. And of course, I had a feeling, again, I've not been spoiled by anything with the books, but I had a feeling. I was like, oh, Hugh is definitely getting this dragon. You know, I was like, I can't imagine anybody else getting this dragon. Plus, Hugh and Ulf are the only characters we've spent any time with this season. All these other people, I was like, yeah, they're all dying. So I just had a feeling Hugh was going to get this dragon. It was just kind of a thing of, well, how is he going to get the dragon? And I just love how this whole thing played out, because initially he's kind of hiding behind a rock, and he finally comes out because that one girl kind of goes running off, and he's trying to protect her, and he just stares down Vermithor, you know, and no fear, and he screams at Vermithor, and Vermithor, they finally have that connection, and they stare at each other, and Vermithor kind of bends the knee to Hugh, and I think it's just very apparent and obvious that this is Hugh's dragon now, you guys. Oh my god. Such an epic, badass moment. Yes. Seriously, when that happened, when Vermithor calmed down and him and Hugh were just staring at each other, I was seriously guys, I was at my desk going, So then, yeah, moving on to Ulf, because we see Ulf, I think Ulf, he got knocked off that bridge, and he's kind of just stumbling around, and that's when he stumbles into Silverwing, yeah, guys. And I love this whole thing too, because I had a feeling he was going to claim this dragon. I had a feeling it was going to happen, because once again, Ulf is the only other character we spent time with. And Silverwing at first is really menacing and threatening, but then I loved how quickly playful it turned into, because Silverwing just kind of keeps going and going up to Ulf and like nudging him, nudging him with her snout and like pushing him until he like falls over. And it's so cute and playful. It's kind of like Ulf, you know. Ulf is just playful, and I love that Ulf has a dragon now. Yeah, guys, yay! And again, when that happened, very much like Hugh, I started going, eh. So we end the episode. We go to the Green Council. Aemond is conducting business as usual and listening to things. And there is mention of Daron, that his dragon has taken wing now. He is useful to Team Green. He has a usable dragon. So as this whole conversation is playing out, you start hearing screams in the background. And then you start hearing, dragon! So, of course, Aemond gets a little freaked out. He's like, the hell? What are y'all talking about? So he looks out there, he sees a dragon flying around. He takes off like a crazy man. He jumps on a horse. You guys, my God, Ewan Mitchell looks just way too sexy riding a horse. He's gone back to his last kingdom days, you guys. Yes. And he's just sitting there, he's riding on the horse. He goes to Vhagar. Him and Vhagar, they get up in the air. And my understanding of geography in this world, Dragonstone is not too far away from King's Landing, and him and Vhagar take off to Dragonstone. They follow this dragon, which is Ulf's dragon, because we get to see Ulf on the dragon. Ulf is up there just having the grandest time of his life. Yeah, guys, I loved it. He was having so much fun. And Vhagar and Aemond, they're getting pretty close to Dragonstone, and a look does pass over Aemond's face really quickly, because then all of a sudden he's like, oh, Vhagar, no, let's turn around. Let's turn around. And I guess what it is that he saw, he could clearly see over there on Dragonstone is all of the dragons, and they all have riders now. So yeah, Aemond has something to be worried about now. He still has the biggest dragon, but the thing is, Vhagar can probably be taken down if Vhagar is hit with multiple dragons. You know, that's what I've been saying all season. There's no way you can take out Vhagar just with one dragon. There's no way, because Vhagar can easily do one of her little sneak attacks, you know, and her mouth is so freaking big, she could just chop off a neck easily, no problem, you know. So I've been saying all season, yet Team Black, if they want any chance in hell winning this battle, they've got to put like 4 or 5 dragons on Vhagar. You know, Vhagar's got to be distracted. And you know, I hate the dragon violence. That's just it. I hate the dragon on dragon violence, because the dragons are just so, they're just so cute. You know, they're like cats. I love them. And it's a shame that the dragons have to fight each other, you know, because their riders hate each other. But yeah, what an incredible, powerful way to end this episode, you guys, is that shot of Rhaenyra there on Dragonstone and all of the dragons surrounding her, you guys. It was so fucking badass. And again, I was sitting there going, oh yeah. I was like fangirling unbelievably. It was a little ridiculous. So that's how the episode ends, you guys. And I gotta talk about the trailer real quickly. A lot of times I don't sit here and talk about the trailers because there's really no sense, but I got excited because we see a shot in the trailer. Aemond is talking to Helena, you guys, and telling her, hey, we need you to get on Dreamfire. Oh my God, is Helena going to ride a dragon? You guys, again, I have not been spoiled by the books, but my understanding of Helena's story in the books is that after the death of Jaehaerys, Helena just is out of the picture, that she goes into her own world of melancholy and madness and is like never heard from again until kind of near the end where some things happen. And yeah, my impression is that Helena in the books never gets on a dragon. So it seems like this might be a creation by the show to give maybe Helena a bit more agency in the story, you know, which I don't mind. If Helena gets some more to do and she gets to get on a dragon, hell yes, I am here for it. It'd be another female rider because so far there's not too many female dragon riders. We have Rhaenyra, we had Rhaenys, and we have Baela, and then I'm thinking it's pretty obvious Reyna is going to get a dragon. Because, yeah, the rest of it's all guys on dragons. So, yeah, if we get another female dragon rider, that would be so awesome. And, yeah, I would love to see Helena have something really badass to do if she gets on her dragon. Because I would love to see Dreamfire. Yeah, guys, I would love to see Dreamfire. Oh, but yeah, Aemond, seriously, you're gonna make your sister get on a dragon? As much as I want to see Helena on a dragon, it's like I'm also almost kind of questioning Aemond's motives. Like, well, your sister might die, dude. And plus, seriously, you guys, I'm a weird Aemond and Helena shipper, and I just don't want Helena to die and Aemond lose a sister, you know? Seriously, I'm a weird Aemond and Helena shipper. I don't know what the hell is wrong with me. Okay, you guys, enough of all of that crazy excitement for this episode. I cannot wait for the season finale. It should be epic and should be badass. I'm hoping we get to see all these dragons in action. I'm not quite sure. That could be something that happens next season. It depends on what budget they have left for the finale, you guys. But either way, I think the finale should be pretty great, and I'm curious how it's going to end for the season. What's gonna be the big thing leaving us hanging? So, you guys, that is it for my thoughts and feelings on episode 7 of House of the Dragon. Let me know what you thought down below. So that's it for this video. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. And if you like this video, you may like these other videos. Bye, guys.